All right, so we're diving into the Professional Believer's Guide today, and we're going to be focusing on the first two chapters. Um, this deep dive is really about aligning your faith and your work life, without, like giving up your integrity or your ambition. Have you ever felt like you were leading a double life?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Like one person on Sunday morning and somebody else come Monday morning?
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling.
Dr. Fletcher-Lartey has been there. And
Yeah.
in this book, she's sharing, what she's learned to help us all kind of thrive,
Yeah.
spiritually and professionally.
Yeah, what I really appreciate about her approach is how she blends like personal stories with, biblical principles and practical advice.
Yeah, it's not just theory. She's been there.
Right. It's like she gets it.
Exactly. So whether you're, just starting your career
Ah.
or, you're facing some challenges at work, or maybe you're just, curious about integrating your faith more
Yeah.
into your work life, this is for you. So let's jump right in. Chapter 1 jumps right into this idea of the marketplace. And, when we say marketplace, it's not, just like buying and selling.
Right. It's bigger than that.
It's bigger than that.
Yeah, Dr. Fletcher-Lartey really expands on that. She says the marketplace is anywhere you use your gifts and talents.
Oh, that's good.
It could be a traditional office or, something creative. Public service, entrepreneurship, you name it.
Yeah, she uses this great example of a musician who, leads worship at his church. But he also writes jingles for commercials.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was so interesting because
Yeah.
it shows you can use your skills in so many ways,
Yeah.
but the heart behind it can be the same.
What really struck me was her emphasis on seeing our work, no matter what it is, as ministry.
Yeah.
It's not about compartmentalizing our faith,
Right.
but seeing our work as an extension of it.
I love that.
Yeah.
So the question for you listening is, does viewing your work as a ministry change your perspective on what you do every day? You know how you interact with people, or even your overall goals.
It's a big shift in thinking, for sure.
Okay, so let's move on to chapter 2. Seeking first the kingdom of God. She uses this really touching story from her own life to illustrate this.
Oh, yeah, the story about her mom, who was a nurse, using the Bible like an encyclopedia to answer her daughter's questions about, purpose in life.
Yes.
Yeah, that story really shows us that. Seeking God's kingdom should be our main focus, not just something we think about on Sundays.
It's not about checking a box, right? It's about making it the lens through which we view everything, including our careers.
Absolutely.
But I think a lot of us struggle with, like, what that actually looks like day to day.
Oh, yeah.
It could feel kind of abstract.
Yeah, totally.
And Dr. Fletcher-Lartey, tackles that head on. She gives us these really practical questions to ask ourselves.
Like, what are some of those questions?
Like, am I proud to be a believer at work? Or do I genuinely want to see God's will in my career?
Wow, those are good ones.
Those are not just Sunday school questions.
Yeah, they really make you think.
They have very real implications for how we, work Monday through Friday.
Absolutely.
What I appreciate is she emphasizes that seeking God's kingdom doesn't mean we have to give up our ambitions or our drive to succeed.
It's not about giving those things up.
Right.
It's about aligning them.
It's about finding that alignment.
Yeah, with God's purpose for our lives.
And sometimes that, requires us to be bold, to, step out in faith.
Even when it's uncomfortable.
Even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So what does that look like for you, the listener? Where do you see that potential for alignment in your own career?
That's a great question to reflect on, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
We all have areas where we can grow in that alignment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like she's saying it's okay to dream big, but, don't lose sight of your faith.
Right. It's not one or the other. And speaking of dreaming big, Dr. Fletcher-Lartey has a whole section in chapter 2 about discovering your divine design.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
It's fascinating how she connects seeking God's kingdom with discovering our gifts and talents.
It's all connected.
It is.
Yeah, she talks about how, God has given each of us these unique abilities and passions that are meant to be used for his glory.
It's not just about finding a job that pays the bills, right?
No, it's about something more.
It's about finding that vocation.
Yes, exactly.
I love that word, vocation.
It's so much deeper than just a job.
It is.
Yeah, and she uses this analogy of a puzzle where each piece represents a different part of our divine design.
Oh, I like that.
Like our personality, our skills, our experiences, our spiritual gifts.
It's like all those pieces come together.
Right.
To create this, beautiful picture of who God created us to be.
Exactly.
And it's up to us to kind of find all those pieces.
Yeah, she encourages us to pray for guidance, to explore our interests, to try new things.
I think that's so important because sometimes we can get stuck, thinking that our current job is all we're meant to do.
Right, we limit ourselves.
Yeah.
But Dr. Fletcher-Lartey, she's like, think bigger. God might have something even more amazing in store for you.
He might.
And that discovery process, it can be exciting, but it can also be challenging.
Oh, for sure.
It takes us out of our comfort zone.
Sometimes way out.
Yeah, and, we might fail along the way.
You will.
But she reminds us to trust God, even when the path isn't clear.
Even when you can't see where you're going.
Right.
She talks about how, the journey is just as important as the destination.
It's all about the journey.
It is.
Yeah, and those setbacks, they can actually be really valuable.
Oh, yeah. You learn so much.
They shape us. They prepare us.
For what's next.
For what God has planned.
Exactly. I think the idea of divine design is so encouraging because it reminds us that we're not, just cogs in a machine.
We're not.
We each have a purpose. And our work can be an expression of that purpose.
It can be.
So as you think about your own career, what are some of those puzzle pieces that you're still searching for? What are you passionate about?
Yeah, what are your gifts?
What brings you joy?
Those are the questions to ask.
Those are the questions.
They can lead us to that place where our work and our faith align.
That sweet spot.
Yes.
And as we, continue on this journey of seeking God's kingdom and discovering our divine design, we are going to face challenges.
Oh, yeah, that's just part of life.
That's part of life.
Especially in the workplace.
In the workplace and in the world.
Yeah, it's a fallen world.
It is.
But Dr. Fletcher-Lartey doesn't leave us hanging.
No, she doesn't.
She has a whole chapter about navigating adversity.
Chapter 3, Overcoming Obstacles.
It's a must-read.
For anybody who's ever felt discouraged.
Or defeated.
Yeah.
In their career.
She starts by reminding us that obstacles are normal.
They're part of the journey.
They are.
It doesn't mean we're doing something wrong.
Or that God's abandoned us.
Right.
In fact, she says that obstacles can actually be opportunities.
Opportunities for growth.
For growth, for refinement.
Yeah, I love that perspective.
It's so easy to get bogged down by the challenges.
And lose sight of the bigger picture.
And she gives this powerful example from her own life about a time when she faced discrimination at work.
Oh, yeah, because of her faith.
Because of her faith.
Yeah, that story really hit home for me.
It did for me, too.
Because it shows that, even someone like Dr. Fletcher-Lartey, who's so accomplished.
She's amazing.
She's faced unfair treatment.
Just because of her beliefs.
It's tough out there.
It is.
But, instead of getting bitter or giving up.
She used that experience to fuel her passion.
To advocate for justice.
For justice and equality.
In workplace.
And she encourages us to do the same.
To stand up for what's right.
To view those obstacles as opportunities to make a difference.
Yeah.
But she also acknowledges that, navigating adversity can be really tough.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
She talks about, the emotional toll it takes.
The discouragement, the doubt.
The fear.
But she gives us some really practical advice on how to cope with those feelings.
Like what kind of advice?
She reminds us to lean on our faith, to seek support from our community.
Community is so important.
And to remember that God is always with us.
Always.
She also emphasizes staying focused on our goals.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's hard.
Yeah.
She says, setbacks can actually make us stronger.
Or resilient.
More resilient.
Yeah, I like that.
And she encourages us to never give up on our dreams.
Never give up.
Even when things get tough.
Even when it feels impossible.
What I find so inspiring about Dr. Fletcher-Lartey is that she combines, biblical wisdom with practical advice.
And her own personal stories.
And personal anecdotes.
It's like she's walking alongside us.
She is.
Offering encouragement and guidance.
Every step of the way.
Every step.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to hear from you. What are some of the obstacles you've faced in your career?
Yeah, and how has your faith helped you overcome them?
We'd love to hear your stories.
As we're talking about all this, it really strikes me how Dr. Fletcher-Lartey emphasizes the importance of community.
Oh, yeah, she talks about that a lot.
Finding your tribe, the people who get it, the people who understand the challenges and the joys of living out your faith at work.
Yeah, because it can be lonely out there.
It can.
Especially when you feel like you're the only one.
Right. You need those people who can encourage you.
Who can challenge you.
hold you accountable.
And it's not about being exclusive, right?
No, it's about finding your people,
It's about finding those people who get it.
the people who can help you grow.
And she talks about mentors, peers,
Even the people you mentor.
Yeah, it's a two-way street.
It is.
Everyone benefits.
And she really encourages us to be proactive.
Don't wait for it to happen.
Right, go out and find those connections.
Join a professional organization.
Go to industry events.
Connect with people at church.
War online.
Yeah, there's so many ways to connect these days.
And it's an investment.
It is.
Investing in those relationships.
With like-minded people.
It's so important.
It's like having a spiritual board of directors.
I love that.
People who can give you advice.
Who've been there.
Who can offer a listening ear.
When you need it most.
And that support is so crucial.
Especially when you're facing tough decisions.
Speaking of tough decisions.
She doesn't shy away from that.
No, she doesn't.
Integrating your faith at work can lead to some really difficult choices.
Yeah, like that story she shared about being pressured to compromise her ethics.
To get a big client.
To get a big client.
Yeah, that was intense.
It was high stakes.
It was.
For real consequences.
And she talked about how she wrestled with that decision.
Praying for wisdom.
Seeking counsel.
And ultimately choosing to stand firm.
Even if it meant losing the client.
Wow.
That takes courage. To define your non-negotiables.
Those things you're not willing to compromise.
No matter what.
No matter what.
And that takes discernment.
Knowing where to draw the line.
And having the strength to hold that line.
Even when it's hard.
Even when you're facing opposition.
Or ridicule.
Or discrimination.
But she reminds us.
Our ultimate allegiance is to God.
Not to our boss.
Not to our career.
And that's so freeing.
It
takes the pressure off.
To perform.
To conform.
Yeah, it allows us to operate from a place of integrity.
And purpose.
It's about living out our faith authentically.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's countercultural.
And that's what I love about Dr. Fletcher-Lartey's message.
It's not sugar-coated.
No.
That's real.
It's not about using your faith to get ahead.
It's not about the promotion.
Or the big paycheck.
It's about seeing your work as an act of worship.
A way to serve God.
And to serve others.
And make a difference in the world.
Yeah, that's what it's all about.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Professional Believer's Guide, I hope you're leaving with a renewed sense of purpose.
And some practical tools to take with you.
To really integrate your faith into your work.
Remember, you're not alone.
You've got this.
And God is with you every step of the way.
Thanks for joining us today.
And keep seeking.
Keep growing.
Keep shining your light.
In the marketplace